Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? I am fine. So let's take a look. We start with gold. This is going to be a little bit more sports. Uh, we've been talking a lot of inflation and Fortnite markets and stuff. So we're gonna talk a little bit more today. Let's talk a little bit more today on sports and winning and making money that way. So, from our economics discussions, that's better. From our economics discussions, what do we learn? We learn that we all go to work to make money, and doing so, we make more money than we spend usually. Therefore, the question is what to do with the money after we pay our bills that we have left, or even if you're at work and you're getting a 401k. Real quick, gold 29.27. There was the 8 o'clock drop, which took it down to 2,900. And we're wondering, oh, is it going to go back to 2880? And then boom, the 10 o'clock goes up to 29.27. Silver back to the 255, again, trying to get to 33. So you can see the game being played in the derivative market. It's not free market. It's not people selling and buying. It is JP Morgan doing options. I mean, how that became, how do you value gold and silver and oil is ridiculous. So we understand that. So we know gold eventually is going to 5,000, but it's all these little roadblocks because they make money on the derivatives when they go down, and then now they're buying them. I think a lot of what's going on with the U.S. is they have to buy because they got to settle these derivatives, and they have to, and it's got to be by July 1st, but they still have to do it. And so that's why you see, like, when normally at 10 o'clock the U.S. sells, but not in this case. There's a lot more days they're buying it. Morning, Prophet. Hope you're well, and good luck to you with your thing. I think it seems real, knowing what she does. As I stated in my experiences, when I've been into a scam, it's more or less been different types of people, Although professionals can scam you, it's more unlikely. It's people that have a lower level tend to don't care that they scam you. But the more educated, they don't want to do that. They got a lot more to lose, I think. Anyway, so we see this gold, silver again. They have to buy the physical to pay off the derivatives. It's coming July 1st, but that's the deadline. So they got to start accumulating physical to pay off on that. So I saw somebody do a thing on they think silver will go to 200, 300 an ounce. Like it's possible. And no, it's not possible. It will happen. Um, I haven't watched it because it's Sprout and I don't like the guy and I won't, he's a Madoff, so I won't listen to him, but it's all based on when we get rid of NASDAQ or COMEX and the derivatives. That's when we'll see the price go up. So until then, it doesn't matter how much short supply there is, how many times the Chinese and the Indians are buying silver from the mines directly. It doesn't matter. That does not move the price. So, okay. Well, that's good. And I don't understand why your thing isn't part of the estate. I don't understand that. Then define the estate. In my mind, the estate, this is my estate. How is this not part of my estate? How is my gold and silver not part of my estate? Otherwise, what is an estate? Right? It's your house, it's your assets, right? I don't know, your car. So that's confusing. So I would get more clarity on that. But that'll be interesting. And then, it's okay if you pay if you're guaranteed getting some, some of the inventory, right? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but that's the shady part of it. And then the other part is well, so you pay for shipping provided you get part of the inventory. Otherwise, why are you paying for the shipping if it all goes to her? Then let her pay for the shipping. Yeah, I don't understand how they're getting you involved. We'll ship it to you. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Anyway, we'll see. So, I will insist on paying FedEx's directly and also receiving the bars. Yeah, I mean, it's not a scam if you pay FedEx, right? Because the scam is when you pay somebody else and they're going to receive it, not if you pay, so if I pay Joe Blow, so I had a girl and, well, you see like when Kenzie pops in and she wants me to pay, but I'm not even paying her. Oh, pay my boyfriend or something. And you're like, no, that smells like a scam. I mean, at least if you pay the girl directly, that like when I pay Daria and Jenna, I help them with food, it goes to them, right? They show me their passport, it goes directly to them. It doesn't go to somebody else. So in your case, you can pay your girl directly, but that's something different. But to get these bars, I would definitely pay FedEx directly and probably got to insure them. I would imagine you'd want to, and then you get them. And then once you have them, and then that's where the talk comes in first is, okay, what do I do with them? Because then you're going to have to ship them. This is what doesn't make sense. You're going to get them, and then you're going to have to ship them again to her. Well, why don't you just ship them to her? Why get you in the middle? Now, if you keep half and ship the other half to her, well, then, okay, you can sell one bar and that'll pay the shipping and you'll make a ton of money because from what you're saying, they're not 1 kilo, they're 2 kilo or 3 kilo or something. Gold is up today, 29, what was it, 29.28, I think. Well, before you pay the FedEx, the first question is, what do I do with them when I get it? And if they go to her, then why don't you just send them to her? Because now you're going to incur another cost. But why should you pay for it unless you get some of that? So is that the game plan to give you half, or you're going to marry her and then they'll be both of yours? But I would then say, well, give me half now. And she'll get half, and I agree to marry her, and da 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 da. So that way everything's on the up and up. So that's what you really got to look at is what do you get out of it? And then what are you going to do when you get them? Why ship them to me if I'm just going to ship them to her? So those are kind of two questions there. Anyway, so I have an interesting title. So I've been watching some poker tournaments, and Tubi, they have old World Poker Tour. So I like watching them, and the players all make the same mistakes. They slow play kings, they get a pair of jacks, and the flop and they're not betting it. Because I think you have to bet it. I'd rather bet it and get the guy to fold than keep him in for nothing, and then he catches a flush on me, right? Now you're looking at patterns, trends, variables. You're looking at that, and as I said, poker, betting football games or basketball, betting stocks, you're looking for that, and just overall investments. So anything you're going to put your money into, you have to look at these things. Profit. I would definitely sell one bar first before shipping them to her. Yeah. No, I agree. But that's got to be stipulated that this is, you got to talk to her, I guess, or the attorney, see what legally you can do. If they're all meant to go to her, well, then just ship them to her. If they're meant that you then get them, again, it seems silly that you get them so you can ship them to her. What is the point of that? Oh, anyway, just relax, think it through, talk to her, talk to the attorney. You don't want to be surprised. You don't want to be out money that for no, I paid for shipping and here you go. Wait a minute, that's ridiculous. Anyway, so when we're looking at things, when we're looking at poker, what you're looking at, it's really, I got a pair of aces. You've got to surprise. People shouldn't know your hand. You don't tell them your hand. That's what a tell is. You also play the hand differently. You also give out fake tells because people are looking at you, so you want to give them those tells. I would say watching the variables and watching poker and playing poker, which I think I'll do Friday. It's my birthday's and I want it. So I'll probably go to MGM, play some poker. And when I get there, you need good cards. I mean, you're not winning with 2-9. I don't care. Maybe 1 in 100 hands you can win bluffing, but to do that, you've got to really catch somebody with a bad hand. You can't bluff 3 queens or a straight or a flush. Now you could bluff a straight if there's 4 of a suit on the board. You could bluff that you actually have the flush. That's kind of how you bluff. You bluff that you got the flush. You bluff that you got the straight. That's really what you're bluffing. Or the guy's just checking. But then what's the point? Okay, so you bet a little bit. There's nothing to win. He's not betting. So you're looking at a lot of variable. You're looking at how do I play aces? How do I play kings? So you want consistency. You want looking at the variable. So what are the variables? Well, the other cards on the table, the way the guy plays the hand. All this is the variables that you're looking for. So when I watch World Poker Tour, you're really looking at how they play it. And I don't consider them, maybe they're pros in the sense that they play poker professionally, but I wouldn't look at them as really good players. If I dealt out 4 kings, am I a great player? I got lucky. I got a lucky flop. So being a pro, it's very hard to really make a living at it because it's all luck. Oh, Howard, it's not luck, it's skill. No, it's all luck. I make a big bet, the guy folds. I got lucky. I get pocket aces and he flops a set of sevens. I'm unlucky. Does that make me a bad player? Does that make him a good player? He called me with sevens and I got aces and a 7 hit. Is he a good player for that? No. He got lucky. And that's what I mean by poker's a lot of luck, mostly luck, because of the 5 community cards. That's what I don't like about Hold'em. I'd much rather play 7 card stud, high low, or even 5 card draw. Other games where I'm only playing my cards. That's the problem with Hold'em is the community cards. It kind of makes shit because we both can use the 4 diamonds in the middle. Oh, he happens to have the ace. I happen to have the king. Is he a great player? Not at all. He got lucky. He had the ace. I had the king. So what you're trying to do is look at the probability. Well, I get aces. I'm going to win 7 out of 10 times. A couple times they'll hit a straight or flush on me, and a couple times they'll hit a set on me. All right, more they'll hit a set on me than anything. And so that's why you first determine how much you bet when you got them. I played with the guy at MGM. The guy'd go all in with aces pre-flop. There's $2 in the pot. He's $200. Who's going to call? And if you do call, what are you going to call with kings or queens? You know he's got aces. I don't understand what he's trying to do. Nobody is thinking he's bluffing unless there's some really bad players at the table. I knew when he did it, he's got aces. And I just say, there's $2 in the pot. He's betting 200. What is this idiot doing? Because that's basically what you're doing. You're not, what are you going to get called with? Kings? And how often is that going to have 1 in 100? So I thought that was a terrible play. So you don't want to bet too much at that time. You want to bet more as the pot grows. Is really what you're trying to do. So let's start off. You got nothing. Now, it depends where you're sitting. If you're the big blind, you'll call with nothing because you've already put the blind in. If you're first to act, you might not bet, depending on the table. I'll share that experience with you. Prophet, do you ever play blackjack, Professor? Do you know how to count cards? I used to play blackjack a lot. Yeah, I kind of know how to count cards. I don't care if I count to the exact count. I kind of look at the board. So if I can see a lot of low cards or I can see a lot of high cards. So I don't need to count and say, oh, that's 15 or 10 or 2. If I see a lot of high cards come out, obviously there's more low cards now. If I see 6 people at the table and I don't see a 10, I know 10s are due. So that's as far as I need to count. You don't need an exact count. It's not an exact science. Does it help you? No. I don't find any advantage to counting cards because of the variables. There's still small cards out there. What if I get 16 and it's a high count? Oh, I'm screwed. Do I think I'm going to get 20 because there's a high count? Possibly. But the dealer can get the 20 just as easily as I can. So what if I get 19, the dealer's got a 10 up and the deck's high? So I know there's a lot of high cards. I know he's got 20. I know I lost with 19. I got to take a card, even though the deck's high, because I have no chance of winning because I got to assume he's got 20 because the deck's high. So I don't buy that you win because you know there's a lot of tens in the deck or you know there's a lot of low cards in the deck. Can they ban you in Michigan for card counting? I have no idea. Here I play poker. I don't like when I go to MGM. The thing I don't like about them is the fact that their odds suck and the table limit sucks. So they want like $50 a hand. I ain't gonna play $50 hand blackjack. I'm looking for streaks. So I'm looking for $5 blackjack, maybe $10 blackjack, and I'm hoping to catch a streak in 10, 9, 10, hands. Right? I'm looking for one streak where I get 7, 8 in a row. At $50 a hand, I got to take out $500. I don't play like that. I play $5, $10, and I can still win 500 if I catch a streak. So I want more chances to catch my streak. And if it's going to cost me 500, it's then, yeah, I can win more, but that's not where I'm at. I don't like it. And then the odds on the blackjack are 7-6 is 6-5. You can only split aces and get one card. I mean, a lot of these, or you can only double down 11. I mean, it's like, I don't mind doubling down 10 or 9 if the dealer's got a 6 up and the dex I can think is pretty high out there. I play all the games. I can play all the games. But they're raising the limits. I'll be at the Venetian in Vegas going to breakfast and you're seeing blackjack tables. They're all $50 minimum. And you're like, and there's nobody there. And you're like, whose bright idea is that? Like, where's your $10 blackjack? Are you insane? That's what you want because the $10 blackjack players are idiots. They don't know what they're doing. You're going to make up a lot more money on the $10 blackjack than you're going to make on the 50 because the only guy who's going to play the 50 is a professional, somebody like me. Right? If the gold hits or when the gold hit, okay, I'll try $50 a hand blackjack. What do I care? I'm rolling in dough with gold, but I'm a professional, so I'm going to eat you alive. If I catch my streak at $50 a hand, you're fucked. The best you're going to get out of me is 500. I could win 5,000. So it's a real stupid thing because the casino is taking the idiots away because they'll go play slot machines because they can't afford $50 hand blackjack. So they're only going to get the pros playing the 50. Not a good move by the casino. Yeah, I've played all the games. I talk about backrack. Backrack's simple. It's really, you're not dealing. The dealer deals, you either play bank or player, but you can play either one. And I think the bank has a slight edge. And then closest to 9 wins, 10's a 0. So if it's 10, it goes back to 0, not 10. So 10 is not better than 7. 10 is 0 and 7's closer to 9 than 0. And really, the way I play it, it's just a street game. It's not like blackjack where you're hitting or not hitting. I mean, that happens, but the dealer controls that. You're just you're playing it like roulette. You don't do anything roulette, red or black, odd or even, maybe a number. And that's the same thing you're doing at here. You're playing dealer or bank. You could play tie, but I never do. So whoever's hitting, I play. I mean, it's just a streak thing. And then you increase your bet as you go, like you would in blackjack or you would in roulette. Yeah, the bank has a 5% advantage apparently. So why not play banker all the time? Because you don't do that. We play streaks. Streaks is how you win at poker, at casino games, even at poker, football. Sometimes we're looking, Philadelphia's hot or Washington's hot. but we want to play streaks. The bank's a little commission. So what you're really trying to do in backrack, well, so according to you, what if the player hits 4 or 5 in a row? Right? So it's all of a sudden player, player, player. There's a slight edge for the bank, but it's not, if the player hits a natural 9, he wins. There's nothing the bank can do. A natural 8 or a natural 9 ends the hand. There's no decisions. Whoever gets it, gets it. And it's just as easily for the player to get it as the bank. The percentage comes in when you both have 2, and let's say the bank has 5 and the player's got 2, and the player takes a card. The bank, I think, based on that card, hits or doesn't hit. That's the advantage. But how many hands do you get like that? Again, it's just more luck. So you're just betting streaks. You're just going, oh, okay. The bank hit 5 in a row, I'll play bank. The player hit 5 in a row, I'll play player, which is all the time that happens. So there is a little advantage for the bank. It's hitting that second card or the third card. So you get 6 and a 10, you got a 6. And then I would think the player doesn't hit, and then the bank has a 4 and the bank has to hit or something. I think it's something like that. But there's there really isn't a huge advantage for the bank. And in my mind, the player can hit 20 in a row just as easily as the bank can hit 20 in a row. And I don't want to be on the wrong end of a streak. That is critical. And that's in everything: stocks, bond, gold, anything we invest in and we play here. You want to go with the streak. You never fight the streak. Never go against the streak. You can't, because that's the point of a streak. You don't know how long it'll last, but you never want to bet against it. I can only lose one time if I bet on the streak. Well, red, black hits. Okay, I lost. Now I wait for the next streak. But if you bet again, I had one friend who wanted to bet against the streak. Well, I don't know what we were talking about, craps or something. And I don't know. He said, well, I'll bet against it. And I think maybe it was roulette, maybe it was black. I'll bet against it. I'm due to win. And I'm like, no, that's exact opposite. You want to bet on the streak. You can only lose once. You could win 20 hands and lose once. But if you bet against it, you could lose 20. And what do? You keep doubling down. Oh, I need $1 million to break even. Well, what kind of incredibly stupid strategy is that? Well, I'll win eventually. No. You won't win eventually. You'll run out of money. If you catch a streak that you could have easily won with if you just go with the streak. So that's the difference. So card counting, really, it's more the streak than the card counting. If I'm winning 5, 6 in a row, I don't give a shit about the card counts. I'm not looking at the card counts. I'm betting my streak. And the same thing if I'm losing. If I lose, I'm back to 1 unit. I don't care what the deck says, because it's my streak that is more important to me than how many 10s are left in the deck. Because if I'm on a losing streak, I'll get 16, the dealer will get a 10, and I'm screwed. So there is no advantage to card counting in my world, because my world is about streaks, not card counting, because that's the best way to beat a casino. So I could lose like 5 hands. So I start with 1 unit, and I could lose 5 hands in a row. I'm only down $25. Then I hit 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 5 unit. So I win 4 hands, and I'm up. And now I'm up $15 or 15 units, even though I won 4 and lost 5. Or I could win 7 and lose 15, and I'd still be up, because I hit my streak. I hit my 5, my 7 unit, my 10 unit. Then I lose, and then I lose 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So I could have a losing percentage in my hands and still win because I bet the streak, and that's the key to it. So that's how you want to play casino games. Poker, not necessarily the streak. Poker, they're watching you, so you give as many fake tells as you want. You look for tell. The biggest tell I told you is the guy looking up at the TV. He's not interested in you. Well, why wouldn't he be? Because he's got like 4 kings. I mean, he's got you killed, guaranteed. Why else would he not be interested in you? He's certainly not bluffing. So that would be a big factor there. Is he's not he's looking up, he's relaxed, I'm going to take my drink. When somebody's relaxed, it's just personality. They've got a good hand. They're not worried. When you're bluffing, you don't want to give a bluff tell, and so you're more tight, you're more restrained. You're not going to grab the water, you're not going to watch the TV because they're looking at you and you don't want to show a tell that you're bluffing. And normally it's a big bet is when you're bluffing. So that's kind of the tell. And then, so when you're bluffing, it's a big bet and you're still. And when you're comfortable, you got a big full house, you're just looking around, you're very relaxed, you're eating, you're drinking. And that's part of the keys that you would do. So if I have a full house, I might be stoic and just hold on. I might, and I've done this before, drop my chips. I'll be playing with them and they tumble. I do it on purpose because people think I'm nervous, but I got a full house. So I'm not going to just be stupid and look at the TV and have a drink and relax. I'm going to be like I'm bluffing. Now, depending on how much I bet, but even so, I probably made a big bet. I very rarely go all in when I got a full house or 4 of a kind because I want to call. That's the other part of the strategy, right? So if you know that if somebody makes a big bet but doesn't go all in, more than likely, now if you've got to get enough variable, you've got to get enough data to check variables on this player. But if you have that, you're more than likely going to realize that's the pattern, right? So if he bets, he's got 500 in his stack and he bets 300, more than likely he's got a good hand. He wants you to call him, and he'll judge it on your stack and how you normally call. And what can I bet to make him call me? Well, then he's not bluffing. I don't want to call when I'm bluffing. I want to call when I got a big hand. So vice versa. If I'm bluffing, I'll go all in because, I'm saying I got a big hand to get him to fold because I got nothing. So I don't want to call. So understand logic in poker. That's the logic. But I want to get paid off. I only want to do that if I got a good hand. And if I have a shit hand, so like I told you about this Russian girl at MGM, she would always make this big bet and she'd be bluffing. And when she actually got a good hand, she checked. And so right away I knew if she bets, she's bluffing. If she's checking, she's got a good hand. So I knew how to play. So when I'd get a good hand and she's betting a lot, I knew she's bluffing. But I get a full house and I would just check. She'd bluff into me, check, and then, all in her. And I'd wipe her out because I knew how to play her. So that's what you're looking really in poker, how they bet. How they bet is the biggest tell. It's why are they betting? How are they betting? Now, from my standpoint, how I play a hand, if I got a smaller hand, a pair of aces or 9s or 10s, I'm betting a lot because I want to get them out. Because if it goes all 5 cards out, I'm fucked. I know he's going to catch 2 pair. He's going to catch a straight, a set, a flush. I can't let him see all 5 cards. And if he doesn't have anything, then I'm not going to win anything anyway. So I want to get him out. I want to win the pot because I don't want to lose. It's like gold. Why am I buying gold? Why are we buying gold? Because we're getting out of this. You got 100 grand in your bank. Why are you buying gold? Because you don't want to lose the 100 grand. It's protection. Now let's take it to poker. I got a pair of aces. Why am I making a big bet? It's protection. I don't want him to call and then I lose my money. So the best way to keep my money is in those situations, make a big bet and get him out. I don't necessarily want it to go all 5 cards. I don't want to get caught on the river. And I certainly don't want to lose a hand that I'm winning. So if I win, I'm going to make it painful for him to call me. And if he calls me and I make a big bet and he calls me and he catches the diamond on the river or the straight, okay, there's nothing I can do. I made him pay for it. But you'll be surprised how many times they'll fold when they how many times they fold when they have to put in a lot of money. And you'll see who will, in Detroit's different than Vegas. Vegas, a little more professionals play. People with bigger wallets because they're on vacation. So they're more apt to call you. It's a whole different betting style. But in Detroit, you can see the guy who's betting, and you can see that if you make a big bet, he's going to fold unless he has a good hand. And so you can tell if he's got a good hand or not by the way he bets. You go from that. So the older guys who work at Jam and Ford are very conservative. They're not going to bluff. So if they're in a hand and you catch like trips or something, you keep them in $30, $40. At the end, maybe you make it 75. The guy's got his pair of jacks and you've got your pair of aces, or you had ace king and you caught the ace or the king. He'll call you because he's got jacks. And so you know that. And if he really went all in, then you would know he's got a full house because he's not fucking around. He's not bluffing on you. So there's different types of players. There's bluffers. There's tight players. I'm very rare. I'm very rare in everything. I'm very rare because I can check a big hand or I can check crap. So when I got a set, I flop a set of aces. I think I told you that story with the 2 pair, and he catches a full. He's got 2 pair, and I got a set of aces. I can't lose because if he gets a full house, I get a full house. But I checked the flop, and I checked pre-flop, and I checked the flop. Even though I hit the trip aces, he catches the 2 pair. He makes the big bet. He doesn't know what I have. I basically. Let's review the hand. So I think some lady gets kings, makes a $30, $40 bet, comes to me, I call. This other guy calls because there's money in the pot, and the flop comes ace and his 10 and 6. So he catches 2 pair. I catch a set of aces. The lady who made the start with the kings or queens does a small bet or checks, and then I check behind her because we've already got a decent pot, and I am not going to tell you I got a set of aces. The guy then makes a big bet with his 2 pair. The first lady folds because she realizes her kings or queens are no good. And since I flopped a set of aces, I just call him. He then goes all in on the next card, and I, of course, call because I got trip aces, and I can't lose. There's nothing out there. And he comes over and shakes my hand, and he says, well played. He had no idea what I had because I just checked the good cards. And that's how you play poker. You give out no information. However, if I just had a pair of aces and I didn't catch the third ace on the flop, I probably would have played it differently. Him hitting the 2 pair with the big bet, I might have called, I might have folded. But I don't know. I probably wouldn't have checked. I probably would have bet the flop with the aces. And then he would have come over the top with his 2 pair, and then I would have told me to leave. So again, I watched the check raise. So in that hand, I hit it without betting. He had no idea. Obviously, he's betting 2 pair into a set of aces. He has no idea. That's how you play poker. You keep that away. I assume this is my haircut tomorrow. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. So that's what you're trying to do, is not give away the information. Because if I'm looking at you betting, which is what I'm looking at, how do you get a tell? Right? Like I said, I can fake tells. I can't fake my bets. So I bet differently. It's who you're playing. Is he aggressive? Is he, whatever? And you're watching him in other hands, how these people play. Do they bluff? Do they not bluff? And that's really how you're playing. You're playing the other person. That's what they mean by it. However, you're still betting your hands. You're betting you're like you're looking. I got trip aces, but then you're looking at the other players. You don't want to chase anybody out because you're trying to win as much as you can in the pot. But the bottom line is you want to win the pot. So how aggressive do you get? If it's just aces, you get more aggressive because you don't want anybody catching 2 pair on you. However, if you got a set of aces, you're not worried about anything. Then you wait it out, and then you keep quiet as they bet. You just call. They have no idea what you have. Then you get into another hand when you have nothing and you're checking, and now they don't know what to do with you. Well, wait a minute, he checked trip aces. I assume he's got a big hand, so I'm not going to bet him. And then I'm on a straight or a flush draw, and I don't have to pay to see it. Then I can check the turn, and then I look at the river. Did I catch my straight or flush? If I did, I didn't pay. I got there, and if it didn't, I didn't pay to lose it. That's what you're looking at. Hey, Pat. The silver derivatives are almost that. Explain that, Pat. I know they have to cover the physical demand, but how do we know they're almost dead? We've been waiting for them to be almost dead for a while now. Silver's at 32 something today. Let's see, 32. Silver's 32.51 right now, up 73 cents. And gold's at 29.20. So how do we know that the silver derivatives are almost dead? I know they have to pay, and I know they're probably about 30,000 tons short, behind where they have to stand for delivery. But how do we know when it finally blows up and now we're going to get to a free market? The charts are looking bad for them. What charts? What are we talking about? I hate looking at charts on that stuff. Either they're still going to do derivatives or they're not going to do derivatives. So what is bad? $33 is the line in the sand. I thought it was 35, but okay, because I know we crossed 33 a couple weeks ago. But isn't that ridiculous? 33 for an ounce of silver that's worth 150. It's just crazy. So I don't know. We've seen it go to 33. I love when these guys forecast, 35 to 40. Based on what? It's never going over 33. It's never going to get to 40. What are you talking about? It's not free market. It's derivative. It's price fixed, you idiots. Not you, Pat, but I mean these other guys. So how's life in Singapore treating you? Everything okay? How's mom? Is she's okay? Anyway, so multitasking as I do. Eric Sprott is calling. Yeah, I saw that one. I don't trust that guy. He's the reason the ETF and the derivatives in the first place. I don't trust him. I don't like him. I think he's a Madoff. But okay, he's calling for it. Well, what's going to break? Is he just looking at a chart going, oh, it should go up? Or is he actually understanding at our level where, wait, these are derivatives based on JP Morgan and they're going to keep pushing them down because they want the silver price to stay low, and they're going to dump. They're going to keep doing the derivatives. So if he doesn't understand that, then there's no point listening to him. He mentioned the manipulation. He's calling for the shorts to get burned. But what's going to change? We already got BRICS and the gold, and they are starting to buy silver. Russia is, and we know China and India buy a lot of silver. So what's going to change on COMEX? That's what he's got to tell us. He's calling for the shorts to get burned based on what? We need the reason. So anyway, so let me continue with my poker. So a lot of the poker, you're looking at the other person. You're looking at his bet because you can't fake that. So if you're playing a 10-1 who normally bluffs and he makes his big bet bluffs, you just slow play him. You wait till you get a set of aces and you check and he makes this big bet, and then you go all in and see him sweat. And he'll probably fold because you've caught him bluffing. But then the next time you do it, you could bluff and he'd probably fold, but you never show him unless you have to. So a lot of it is when you're watching these poker tournaments, it's just that they get cards or not. Very little bluffing, especially in a tournament. But at the end, they're just going all in. They're not really bluffing. They're running out of chips, so they go all in. That's why I think these guys that play in the tournaments are a joke, because it's just luck. I mean, oh, I got pocket aces. I went all in because I was down to 10 big blinds, and we're deep into the tournament, or I'm playing for position because if I get higher up in the board, I make more money when they pay out. So that's really not poker. Cash game's more poker, but again, you're looking at how they play their hands against other people. So even though you're not in the hand, you're watching, and virtually it's people are in because they have hands. So you got to understand that, and you got to take advantage of that. So when you have a hand and you see somebody else, you think they have a hand, you watch their betting. You make a bet, you make a bet, you see their reaction to it. Now, the biggest problem I have with these guys is who check with the strong hand. Then somebody comes, they check, then they make a big bet because they think you don't have anything. And then the guy who made the check with, let's say, a pair of kings, he doesn't know what to do. He ends up folding because he's got kings, but he doesn't know but he checked, and then the other guy took the power, and now he's got a decision to make. Oh, that's a lot of money. I don't know if I should see it. That's why you don't check the kings. That's why you bet the kings. You want to get that information and prevent him from doing the bluff on you. Now, he might still bluff you, but not normally, because in my mind, if I got aces and I make a bet, if I bet pre-flop, so we'll be at MGM. So in a 1-2 game with the regular players, I might bet $25 on aces pre-flop. Again, it's 1-2, $300. And most of the people will leave, and I might get 1 or 2 players. And then I come back with 25 on the flop. Now, you understand I've got a hand, right? If you're in the game, even if you're not, you know I have a hand. I bet pre-flop and I bet flop because if I don't have a hand, I'm not betting pre-flop, or I might bet a little bit pre-flop, but normally I'm just calling and I don't have anything. I don't have anything. That's what most people do. And then when you do get the aces, kings, you bet 20, $25. Some people bet it with just one ace. And then the flop comes, and now you're going to protect. So you bet the flop. And then you see what happens. See, I want to get the other one or two players out on the flop. I don't want 5 cards to hit. That's the difference. That's how you protect your aces. You make the bet. They know you got a strong hand. They probably don't. They fold. Now, if they catch a set on you, they check raise you. I check. Okay, I bet my aces $40, which is plenty enough to get him out. I don't need to go 100. And then he comes over to the top and check raises me 100, and he's all excited. I immediately fold. I don't care that I have aces. It's not a winning hand in that situation because he won't check raise me unless he's got the goods. And that's really what you're trying to figure out, is my hand good or not? And you don't want him to catch on you. So I don't want to check my aces and he's got a pair of nines, and then the turn comes and it's the 9. He caught his set of nines. I want him out of there because I only have aces, which is not a good hand once all 5 cards are dealt, especially if there's like 2 or 3 players in. I got nothing, right? It's a terrible hand. So you bet the flop big or decent, and they usually will fold. And if they stay in, they might have kings, queens, or jacks. Then you just calm it down on the turn in the river, and then aces. Oh, I got queens. Oh, okay. So that's one of the ways. That's how you play, like your aces, kings, queens, hands that aren't that strong. That's how you play them, and they're not that strong. They're strong pre-flop because it's the best you can have. But after 3 cards are thrown out, the other thing is when there's 10 players at an aggressive table. How's the table? Aggressive or passive? Is everybody just check? Everybody's putting in $2 and let's see a flop, or are we getting $10, $20, $30 raises pre-flop? A lot of that depends on what hands they get. So I was in a real aggressive table. I was the first seat. There was, I think, let's say 9 of us. And I'm seeing a lot of betting, a lot of activity. And I'm number 1. I look, I got pocket aces. So what do? I just check, figuring, oh, we're going to get all this action. And the whole table checked around. Nobody bet. I couldn't believe it because I was going to go all in with the aces after somebody called. I thought there'd be a couple of raises. Then I was going to let him have it. So the flop comes and it's 2-2-9 or something. And one guy's all happy. He caught a set of twos. I'm fucked. Now, had I made my normal $40, $50 bet in a aggressive table as the first player, it looks like everybody would have folded because nobody made a bet. And I would have won nothing. I played it to win a lot, which I would have had somebody bet or 2 people bet on an aggressive table who didn't bet it. So I showed my neighbor who I was friends with, and I showed her the aces, and I folded, and the guy had 3 twos. The problem was on the turn, the other ace came, and I would have had a full house, aces full of twos. So I would have won a ton. But the 3 twos made a big bet, and somebody else called, and then I said, well, I got aces, but I know he's got 3 twos. What are you going to do? You can't play for the third ace. Profit. What is the house percentage take with poker? It's not a lot, a couple percentage, depends where you play. I think at MGM, it usually was like $5 a hand if it was a decent size hand. I mean, that would be the most they would take. But there's really not a house edge. That's why I like poker. They take $3, $4, which who cares? And that's it. So there's no, oh, you won, now we want 20% or something. No, not like blackjack or craps or anything, which is kind of a baked in percentage. You don't see it, but we're only going to pay you 6 to 5 on a blackjack, and you can't double down, only 11s, and you only can split aces and get one card. Because really, aces, let's say you get a 3, then, well, I'm going to hit, but you can't do that. So those are all house advantages that are baked in. Poker, it's just they take a couple bucks off the top. But if you're betting a lot, it doesn't really matter. So Pat, what he's calling the shorts to get burned, but does he give an explanation? That's what we're waiting on. We're waiting on it to get burned. 250 to 500. That's very, very conservative. It's more 1,000. So I can tell when these guys listen to our class, because they'll come up with stuff like this that I have already said. So there's several ways to play poker. You're looking at the type of table. You're looking at the opposition. How good are they? In other words, do they kind of cover their tells or not? What do they even notice that they're giving tells or not? And like in rounders, hard to believe they were trying to pass off whatchamacallit, Don, what was the guy's name from Batman? What's his name? Don Falcone. So Don Falcone doesn't understand he's eating Oreos as a tell, and Damon, who's supposed to be this good player, doesn't see the eating of the cookies as a tell. That's the first thing I would have noticed. What do I say? If they're drinking or eating, they're relaxed. They've got a good hand. And yet these are pros, and they don't realize. And then at the end, the guy catches his tell and tells him, "You never do that." So how hard would it have been for Matt Damon to play out? All he would have had to do is go, did he eat the Oreo? Oh, he ate the Oreo. He's got a good hand. I fold. Oh, he didn't eat the Oreo? Okay, I'll make a big bet. He doesn't have a big hand. So how could he not have won that way? Duh. Well, I want to put him on tilt. Why put him on tilt if you know the guy's tell? Now you told him his tell. He threw away the cookies. You lost his tell. What an idiot. Worst written poker movie I've ever seen. Anyway, usually people get a good hand, they get excited. And usually when you're bluffing, you're trying to stay still. But again, watch the betting. The betting will tell you everything. And if you just shut up and listen, you'll get a lot of tells in their conversations. I'm at Caesar's Palace, as I told you, for the Michigan-Ohio State game, and it's Friday night. And the guy says, oh, I'm just here on vacation, going to have fun. Well, this guy doesn't know how to play poker. So I nailed him once. I get a set of kings on the flop, and I'm about to bet, $50, $100. And I kind of notice going, oh, he's going to go all in for me. Okay, you know what? I'll check to you. And he goes all in, and I got a set of kings. He had a pair of eights. And go get some more money. You're on vacation. And I ended up staying until 6 a.m. with this guy, just loving it. I mean, hey, you want to show me not only did he, I don't know what he had, but I had trip kings. But before I could even bet, he goes and puts the stack in his hand and is ready to make the bet. Go right, I guess. So you got to be careful about that. Now who's motion? So anyway, poker is a people game. Some people cannot take it, and it's hard for people to bluff. I think the bluff's the hardest thing. But when they do bluff, it's usually because you checked. I'm not sure how many times I bet $100. I got I got my aces, and I make a pre-flop bet, and then the flop comes, and then I make a continuation bet with the aces. I'm not going to get bluffed very often there, if at all, because I got a hand. So your thought is, well, he's not going to fold. He's got a hand. So if he's got a hand, he's not folding. I can't bluff him. The bluffs, I think, normally happen. There's two different ways. There's one, you're checking, so they think you don't have anything. And two, the fourth diamond hits. The fourth, 7, 8, 9, 10 hits. And then you're bluffing flush or straight. Those are the two common bluffs. Working here. They're probably trying to sell me some bullshit. I hate taking the phone now because most of it, if it's somebody I know, it's their name, Joe or Pete or whatever. But then you get the number, and most of the time, they must think I want a shower because they keep saying, "Oh, yeah, we're calling because you wanted to put a shower in your bathroom." I go, "The hell are you talking about? I didn't ask for a shower." There's a few things that they think I'm asking for. And you got to be careful on your emails where they'll send you a PayPal or something, little invoice. They want you to click on it, and it's a trap. So you just delete it because you go, yeah, I don't have an Amazon thing or a PayPal thing or anything like that. Anyway, so that's what you're trying to learn in poker. It's easy. You flop a flush or something. I had an interesting hand. I flopped. I had queens, somebody else, pretty aggressive player I know. And it comes like two spades on the board, and one of them was a queen. So I got a set of queens, and the other cards were low. So let's say it was queen and 9 of spades and a 6 of diamonds. So he makes this big bet, and I'm like, I got a set of queens. Like, what's this? There's nothing else out there that he can beat me with. It's not like a king or an ace, and he hit a set of that, which I don't think he bet a lot on. So he goes like all in or makes a big bet with his flush. It was a flush draw, and I sitting there with a set of queens. So I had an easy call there. He didn't get the flush, and I don't know if I full house, but again, that's where it made sense to call. And, so do I call the person who's making the bet? That's the other hard part about poker. Not sure, but that's more of a feel. Does the guy make big bets with big hands or not? This guy happened to make big bets trying to get a flush or a straight. Okay. So I knew the player was a good player and a very aggressive player, but there was nothing I could do. I had the nuts at that point. How can I not call? Then I think it came heart diamond, and I won a big pot with the nuts, and I didn't make a bet. So you got to love that. But again, you learn what kind of player he is, and you learn everything else. And I'm pretty steady. I bluff a little bit against certain players. Certain players I won't bluff against because they're going to call me. So again, you're bluffing straights and flushes, and you're bluffing check, 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 check. You check the flop, you check the turn. All right, I'm going to make a bet here. But it's not a big bet. I'm not going to go all in on it. I got to look at pot size. So if there's $20 in the pot, why would you bet 200? You can have the 20. I'm not going to chase your 200, even if you're bluffing or not. There's no point in it. I prefer a pot with like 3 people in it, and then a $50 bet. Now it's 150 in the pot. Okay, that's more than heads up for $2. There's no raise pre-flop. There's $6 in the pot, and he goes 100. You can have it. It's not worth my time to call, even because especially if it's marginal. I'll call if I got a set of aces, but if I got a pair of 8s, you can have it. So that's really what you're looking for is you're trying to analyze the player and his bets. Does he bluff? Maybe sometimes. Does he call a lot? Does he, uh, when he's got a good hand, make go all in, make a big bet? When does he go all in? And the thing with playing at MGM is you'll sit at a table. There's 8, 9 guys, and then a couple leave, and now you got new guys. Now you got to learn them. It's sort of like my football trend analysis where, well, I can't play the Bears because Caleb's there. Now I can't play the Bears because they got a new coach. I can start playing Washington with the coach and Daniels, but I couldn't play them last year until about week 7 or 8. So certain teams, you got to have the coach and quarterback still there, and it moves around so much in college that it's really hard to trend it. But that's what you're looking at poker. Oh, God, I got another new player, and I don't know how he plays. I got another one. So that's why I'll be a little difficult. Friday, I'll just play my hand more or less. I probably won't know any of the players, but that's what I'll do. I'll just look at them. That's why I don't mind 1-2. I'm going to get killed. The most I'm going to lose is 300. I don't pull another 500 out. I see my cards. If I'm getting good cards, I'll play. Some hands are automatic. You've got a pair of kings. You make your bet. Then the flop comes king, queen, queen, and you're like, yeah, this is pretty easy hand to play, or a set of 9s or something. Those are pretty easy hands to play. Prophet, we used to have this weekly poker game with a couple of buddies, and one guy pointed out I always got very quiet whenever I had a good hand. Well, you're lucky he told you. I noticed Daniel Negreanu, he's a player from Toronto, and he yaps a lot. When he is nervous, he's talking a lot. That's his tell. So he doesn't have a good hand because he's rumbling, bumbling, and stumbling on. And he talks and talks and talks. And if I ever played with the guy, I'd tell him to just shut the fuck up. Because he would, what do you got? And, he made a comment once, which I think is totally illegal. He says, well, can you beat kings, or something, right? Can you beat aces? Or I can beat kings. He made a comment like that, and he didn't have it. He had like 9s. He says, well, I can beat kings or something. And so he makes a big bet at the end. The guy thinks he can beat his kings, and he folds, and he had 9s because he listened to him. So you don't listen to anybody. If you're in the hand, if he talks to you, I've had that where guys have talked to me, what do you have? And I just ignore him. And one of the guys says, well, that's kind of rude. He didn't answer your question. And I'm like, dude, I'm in the middle of my hand. I'm not going to talk. I think his buddy said, no. He that's the way you play poker. You don't give away the information. So that's what you're kind of looking at. You kind of want to play the better cards. The better your hand, you want to play it then. So if you have aces, of course, you're going to play. 9s, you might play. 5s, you might play looking for a set of 5s on the flop. If you don't get it, you leave. Because you're not going to win. And if there's no betting if nobody can beat 5s. So that's kind of how you're looking at poker. I'm very patient, and people have said that to me. I wish I had your patience, because I'll see 2-9 and I'll just throw it away, wait for the next hand. And a lot of people need the action and will play with crap because they got to be in the hand. And I don't have to be in the hand. Again, not putting in money and losing is just as important as winning. Just like our money and gold, keeping your 100 grand in the gold and not in the bank is just as important as not losing your 100 grand in the bank. All right, so let's go from the casino. Craps were basically playing against the 7. Again, it's all streaks. Baccarat, roulette, blackjack are all the same. You're just looking for a streak. Craps, you got to be careful. The 7's coming. So if you hit a few numbers, 6, 8s, and 9s, you see the streak of the dice. If there's a lot of 6s and 8s, you're in. If it's a lot of 3s and 7s and 11s, you're playing the don't, or you're getting out. And so that's craps are a little different. You want to play the odds, so you can play the 4 and take full odds. So you always want to make a small bet with full odds behind, because the odds are like 2 to 1 on a 10. But if you play it on the pass line, if you bet $50, you only win 50. But if you bet 20 and then 50 behind, you win the 20, and then you win 100 because your odds pay you 2 to 1. So you'd rather bet 20 and 50 than 70 on the number. Then you only win 70 when you could have won 120. So that's craps. Finding a decent crap table is hard because they're $25, and it's, because you're gonna bet you might bet 5, 6, and 8, and there's a lot of action you got to throw out there. All right, let's move to what else did I say? So sports and poker, and then we've got stocks, and then we'll just broad base it. So stocks, how do you win at the stock market? Well, you have to know it's just like the casino, it's fixed, right? Just like gold. I fanned on it. I couldn't sneeze. So how do you play stocks? Well, you want the stock to move. What moves the stock? Future earnings. So you've got to know the market. You've got to know the competition. You've got to be able to read a P&L statement, which says, is the company making money? You've got to read a cash flow statement, which shows cash flow from operations, how much it is, right? In other words, they should have a positive cash flow from operations. Okay, check. And then how much money are they making? And did they make money 2 years ago, last year, and this year? So if they're continually making money and their cash flow is positive, that's a good sign. Then you look at what's called the PE, price to earnings. You want to be about 25. I told you Tesla was like 700, and now is Tesla gone? I thought Prophet said that are they bankrupt, or are they just closing in a certain area, or what are they doing? But they had a 700 PE, which is ridiculous. You can't. Your earnings can't grow like that. What tends to happen is it's like a child. So at first you're an infant and you start growing, and then you become a teenager and you grow a lot more, and then you become an adult and you stop growing, and then it goes kind of you can't grow anymore. You've matured, and therefore you're not the stock's not going to grow. And I think that's where you got like Amazon and Apple. They're trying to do these TV and football and video. They're trying to get into that industry, but that's not their core. Apple makes phones and computers. That's what they got to stay with. Amazon just sells you stuff and somehow makes money uh, delivering it to you, which, good luck with that. That's a poor model, but whatever. Profits, sales are way down for Tesla, 50%. So where did they close, or did their stock just drop? But of course, sales are down in Europe because China has taken over Europe, and that's what Germany's bitching about. They can't compete because of all these cars that come from China, because China's subsidizing them, so they're real cheap, but they all catch on fire. So again, it's more apt for electric cars in Europe than it is in America or Canada, because of the there's no, you got to drive a car, and like if you're driving from Montreal to Toronto, it's a 4-hour drive or 3-hour drive, and it's all farmland as far as the eye can see. So what if you need to charge your car? You're fucked. So you're less apt. Why would I get an electric if I have to make this 3-4 hour drive to Toronto? Or Niagara Falls or something. So that's really what the problem is with electric cars. With gas, yeah, there's on the 401, there's always every 25, 30 miles an Esso, and I can fill up my car with that, which I can't do I don't know if there's charging stations there, so it'd be very difficult to charge it. But so Tesla would have no bear. Nobody would want electric in U.S. or Canada because there's not the infrastructure's not set up to charge, and nobody wants it. Everybody's happy with their gas car, and I know where the gas stations are. I get a lot of miles. I can drive from Detroit to Chicago in 4.5 hours. I can fill up my car one time and I'm done. So that's where you're at. So I don't need anything else. Um, and it's easy to fill up my tank. I know about how much it's going to cost. And so that's what I tend to do. Uh, so anyway, that's kind of the point of it. So when you're playing stocks, you've got to know what interest rates you're doing. I did a thesis on this. My thesis was how the trade cycle affects the stock market. Well, the trade cycle is what? Interest rates going up and down. So as the Fed raises interest rates, you're not going to buy cars because now it's cost too much. Again, it comes to the free market. Everything comes back to the free market. So I'm going to pay this much for a Camry. And then they raised interest rates on me, which pushed the price up because now I got to, instead of 2%, I got to pay 5% on the interest. So that makes, if the car is 20,000 and now the interest rate's 2% versus goes up to 7, I got to pay 5% more. And so that, yeah, I can't afford the car now. I'll wait till the interest rates go down. So judging by the trade cycle and judging by the interest rates, judge just what you should get into. If interest rates are low, I'll get into the car companies or things with more fixed goods, GM, and other companies. If the rates are high, I get out of GM and Ford and Tesla and go into candy and gumballs and stuff like that. So at first you want to see what industry is good. Now everybody is clueless, so they all run into AI. Oh, what's the PE on NVIDIA? Is NVIDIA any good? Is AI any good? I don't know. It's AI. Everybody's jumping up and down. And is it any good? How much does it cost? Is it worth what it's cost? So I don't even know what it is. Artificial intelligence, but I don't know what it is. I couldn't use it for this or picking football games or buying gold. I couldn't use it for any of that. I wouldn't want to because I am the AI for all that. So you're looking for stocks. Do you want the popular ones or the ones that aren't popular? So it's a big auction house stocks. So you got to find, you don't want to be chasing, oh, everybody's in Amazon. I'll buy Amazon because it's going up. Sort of what we're doing, people who are buying Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin's up. I'll buy it. And well, now I got to check what the Bitcoin's doing today. Gold sitting at 29.17. All right, so let's see Bitcoin. Bytecoin. Oh, it really jumped up. It was 81,000 yesterday. It's 89,000 today. A huge up. See, but look how volatile it is. I mean, it was, I don't even know how it did. It was 81 and then it's just, now it's 89. It's like, well, what happened? So something happened to go from 82 to 87, I guess yesterday. That's pretty volatile. So again, be careful with that. And I'm happy in gold at 29.17. So you've got to watch the economy. There's all these variables with the stock market, right? Poker, you got aces. Okay. You know what you're doing. Football, you're check. Well, we'll get into football, but so let's continue with stocks. So you've got to know what market I want to get into. You want something that's growing. You want sales are up. They have a new product that's going up. They're making good money. Their costs are contained. Their income's good. Their cash flow is good. So if I have a company with good cash flow and their income is good and it's been growing the last few years, Is there anything that's going to stop it from growing? No. Okay. That's what you get in. Then you look at the PE. And if the PE is 75, you don't get in. It's too high. That's where you know the price is way higher than the earnings. Are their earnings gonna jump 75%? Probably not. Very, very rarely. So you want something that's about a 25% PE. So that means the price is $25 and earnings are $1. Okay, that's 25. Okay, so it's got room to grow. That's the problem with Amazon and Apple. Their PEs are what, 75, 100. There's no way their earnings can go up that much because they're more mature companies, right? They're pretty mature. So that's what you got to be careful of, is what they are doing, which company to go into, and it's pretty fixed. You're being made off most of the time. So are you buying at the right price? Probably not. If it's something that's good, you can maybe get into Disney now, and it's probably pretty fair, or Pepsi, Coke, Heinz ketchup, these type of things. They're mature. It's not going to go from 50 to 100, but it's not going to go from 100 to 50 either. You're going to get dividends on it. So what is the point of buying the stock? Is it to get the dividends? Is it to get less risk and slow? Or is it to buy Amazon and Apple because you want to make a fortune? And it's that little, I want to get rich and not do anything and not know what I'm doing. That's what's called Bitcoin, right? I got rich because I had no idea what Bitcoin was, but it went up and I made money because I did have no idea what I was doing, why it goes up and down. And so I made money that way. And you can see the same derivatives in Bitcoin as you see in gold. Bitcoin hit 106, then it's 82. Now the 82 is the low. Now they're doing call options. They want the price to go up. Went from 82 to 89 in the day. Good luck with that. People think, oh yeah, look how smart I am. I made money in Bitcoin. Yeah, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing, and you took extreme risk. And Bitcoin will drop because the whole currency is about to drop. And current Bitcoin's in dollars, and the dollar's going to collapse. So that's where you really got to know your economics now. So when we choose, should we even play stocks? My answer is no. You want to play gold and silver. But I can make money in that. Yeah, you're doing okay in gold and silver too. Well, not in silver yet, but gold, you bought at 1,800. It's at 2,900. Yeah, you're doing okay. And it's not even beginning to really go, because once people realize the dollar's out, that forces you into gold. What does that do in Bitcoin? At what point does people get in and out of Bitcoin? You don't know. What should your stock pick? You don't know. Now, if I were to buy Disney, I'd want to make 10% on it. Okay. But I have risk. You have a lot of risk in the stock market because, as I say, the foreigners own a lot of it. And when they need money and they're gonna dump it, they're gonna say, give me my $10 million and I'm gonna go buy gold in Egypt. And the stock, they don't just go up, they do go down. We just saw it go down from 44,000 to 42,000. So stocks will go down. The difference is the government is price fixing it and putting money into the stock market. And again, this can't keep going on because they don't have any money. We are bankrupt. The dollar's worthless. So by putting worthless dollars into the stock market or Bitcoin, it's going to collapse because it's not in. Gold is gold. You don't need the dollar for gold. And that's the biggest reason we're in gold and silver. It hasn't even begun. It's like buying, gold's like buying Amazon or Apple. What are they at? $200 an ounce, a share. So that's like buying them at 10. That's what gold is to Amazon and Apple. It's at $10. And then you got to worry about, new regulations, new competition. China came out with a new AI thing that's free. Well, that's going to kill NVIDIA, who is AI. So you got to be careful with that. You got to keep watching? Is there new competition? Is there a new law that they can't do this or that? Oh, they're breaking the law. Oh, there's lawsuits. Oh, shit, the stock's going to go because that's cost added to the financial statement. And if there's cost and it's not going to generate revenue, their earnings are going to go down. The stock's going to go down. So there's a whole lot that you have no idea about that you've got to do. So really, it's very hard to play stocks. They are manipulated, and there's all these outside sources that are there, and people are way ahead. If they see you're buying, they're going to buy first. Oh, the professor wants 1,000 shares, so let's buy it first. We'll jack the price up. He'll buy, and then we'll dump. That's going on all the time. And a lot of it, you have no control over. We're just little kids. The control is the pension funds and the 401ks and all these annuities and the school pension or there's a lot of big pensions. They're buying 1 billion shares of Apple, or they're selling 1 billion shares of Apple, and you're just I'm going to buy my 100 or 500 shares. So you're fucked there too, because when they sell it, you're at the end of the line. When they buy it, you're at the end of the line, and that's all of a sudden they lose 20 points. It's $100 now. It's 75. Yeah, Joe's Army Navy pension fund just sold. Well, you don't know that, and you're now it's at 80. You just got blown away. Well, that's not going to happen in gold. They can try their derivatives, but no pension funds buying physical. They're not smart enough. They'll buy ETFs, but ETFs with the sprout are all fixed. I would stay away from that, and they're not physical. You'll never take delivery. So stocks are very difficult. Let's get to sports. So when we look at sports, what do we look at? Well, we take football because that's what we do. I've been very successful in football my whole life since like 1969, 1970. I remember betting dollars in 5th and 6th grade with other kids. And I'd bet it. We'd bet $1 a game, and that was it. So I started with a bookie, I think in 75 or 76. My dad at bowling had some bookies. Always at the bowling alley, there was a couple of bookies. I remember that. And then I started betting 10, 20, $50 a game. My lock would be 100. And then you just grow and you get more comfortable with it. And there you're looking for star players: Montana, Brady, Lawrence Taylor. That's who you would bet on. Jimmy Johnson you would bet on. I had Miami over Nebraska in 84, getting 14 points. That was my favorite bet, I think, because everybody was saying how good Nebraska is. And I saw Miami and what defense, and then they had a good offense and Bernie Kosar and good receivers. And Nebraska doesn't see anything like that. And they win. But even now, I had 14. I teased it up to 20. So that was a very easy bet. But that's what I'm looking for, is the good team with a good defense and the good quarterback. So there's keys to why you bet team A versus team B. Then you're looking at the point spread. You're looking at injuries. You're looking at weather. These are all the variables that you don't have in blackjack and poker. Poker, the variables are the players. You're watching them for their tells. But in football, it's injuries. It's do they need the game or not? It's the weather. Is it a windy, snowy day, or is it sunny, or is it too hot or too cold? So the variables are different. Then you get new players. Caleb's there. Well, we don't know. We don't know what to do with him. And that's kind of what you're looking at. Profit. It looks like Sam Darnold is going to be a free agent. I'm hoping the Raiders go after him. Why the Raiders? I know you're a Raider fan, but he's a choke. I'm not sure I would go after him. I don't think he's better than Minshew. I think Minshew's a good quarterback. If I was Jacksonville, I might go after him so I could get rid of Trevor Lawrence, or Cleveland could use him. But But Oakland's got to go after like Russell Wilson or something like that. And they need help for Crosby on defense. And they got rid of Devontae Adams, so they need some receivers, which they do have Brock Bowers. So that was a good draft pick. Miscue has already been released. Okay. Well, I thought he was pretty good. I don't think he was the problem last year. Bad offensive line, bad coach, bad play calling. The coach was terrible, and then he leaves. He gets fired in the middle, so it's hard to blame the quarterback. He's pretty good, Minshew. So football, you're looking at variables. So each variable is different depending on what investment or how you're going to gamble. So in poker, the variable is the other player. Your hand versus the board. Those are your variables. How much money you have, size of the pot, how many players are in the pot. Those are all your variables. Craps is not much. It's just you're looking at the streaks. The streaks are your variables, and blackjack and baccarat and roulette and craps. Red's hitting, I'll play red. I mean, it's very simple. Baccarat, the player's hitting, the player's hitting, the player. Again, I'm playing the streaks. You get into stocks, the variables become the cash flow from operations. What is that? It better be positive. And then you're looking at the financial statement, specifically the income statement, and what's their revenues look like the last 2 or 3 years, and what's their income look like? Are they making money, and is it growing? And if it's not growing, I don't want to be anything to do with it. If their sales are dropping, I don't want anything to do. So that automatically throws you out of it. You want where the sales are growing and the income is also growing. It's going down. So the expenses are going down. So your income's going up. So that's good. They're making money. They're making more money, more sales each year. So like maybe like Disney, their theme park took a bath because they started charging $75. I couldn't believe that Memorial Day. Then you have so that's stocks. Real estate trust is just simply the variable is the interest rate and who you're lending to. The rest, you're kind of money in the bank. You're looking at what's inflation, what's the real inflation, not the bullshit they tell you. Oh, they printed all this money. Inflation's much higher. The money's worthless. That's the variable. Now we get to football. The variables are injuries and wind. And do they need the game? Do they have new players that we got to watch, or are they consistent? Like Kansas City, we know who they are. It's Mahomes, it's Kelsey. They're adding some receivers. They got a really good defense. They got Spagnuolo, who's there. Perfect. We can bet KC, Now, they had won 2 in a row, and then they got to the Super Bowl. Fuck, they only lost 1 game during the season. That was at the Buffalo, and then the Denver game doesn't count because they were resting. So you see them, and now they lost. So now they're going to be – I don't know if they can get much harder than last year. Where they really lost 1 game, but that's what you'll see. And you'll see the variables, the new players. They don't have new coach. So you don't have – the variables the same with the coach and Mahomes and the defense and Spagnuolo. So there's no change of variables. So now it's just bet KC to win every game. Cincinnati, you've got Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins, I guess, is a – what did they call it? A restricted free agent or whatever. They gave him the 1 year, whatever they call it. I can't think of that. I got too much in my head right now to think of that. The franchise tag. See, even when I don't think about it, I get it. So they franchised T. Higgins. The question's the defense. They got the 1 player and that's it. They need to add 5 or 6 players because you got Burrow and Chase, and they need to add a running back. Then we'll see Cincinnati's variables will change. And that's what I'm figuring out. So when I look at different teams, I'm looking at their variables. Who's their coach? Who's their new coach? Quarterback, Philadelphia, you got their variables. Strong defensive coach now. Kellen Moore left. See who they replace him with. basically just hand the ball. They got balance with Barkley and the receivers, which is makes it that's probably the biggest variable you're looking for is the balance. Can they run and pass? And that's the problem with most teams. They're too stupid to keep balance, and they can only throw the ball. And we saw Dan Marino, we saw Dan Fouts. They don't win because the defense knows they're going to throw. You got to trick the defense, just like in poker. I got to pretend I'm bluffing and I'm not, or pretend I got a hand and I'm bluffing. That's how you've got to do it with everything. You've got to balance it and pretend. So anyway, Max Crosby wants the Raiders to go after Rodgers. I thought he was going to the Giants. But I would definitely. I love hearing the guy on the radio. He should just retire and turn down $30 million. Yeah. I hate when these guys say stupid things like that. Anyway, so but you're trying to establish betting sports, be it football, baseball, or basketball, are all the variables. The players, who's injured, different codes. Basketball, the challenges 2 days in a row. You don't have that in football. You might have Sunday to Thursday, but which is bad enough. That's absolutely. We want the players' health. Then you play them on Thursday. Well, you're really worried about their health. You wouldn't make Thursday night game. Yeah, but we make a lot of money from it. Yeah, but all the players get injured, you idiot, which costs you money because the players are all injured. That's the problem with basketball. You're looking at that, and then they take days off because they got to rest. Oh, I didn't know it was so hard to play 40 minutes of basketball for a professional athlete. That's like a golfer playing 9 holes. Well, I need the card. I gotta rest coming in. Unbelievable. Rodgers wants to stay on the West Coast, from what I've heard. On the West Coast or the East? He's on the East Coast now with the JETSs. At least this one says potential spam. I love when the phone tells me it's a potential spam, as opposed to just a phone call. So that's what you're looking at. What you're trying to establish when you're betting are variables. When you're doing anything, like I'll tell you about Daria. So Daria, I told you, needs that operation. And she says, I'm scared to death about the operation and I'm withdraw. So in other words, I think what she's trying to tell me in English with our culture is I'm really scared about the operation. I don't want to talk about it. So I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to sleep. And I don't know when it is. She says she's got to get a CT scan and then the doctor will arrange the operation. And she's petrified. And I'm like, go get it already. So it's in here. I showed you. So I would have a dentist just stroll up and take it out or something. She says, but the infection's gone. Okay. So what are the variables? She's scared. Why is she scared? She's afraid of going to the doctors. She was afraid of going to the dentist. We got her implants. And she said, oh, I'm scared to go to the dentist to get the implants. So she's afraid of doctors. Whatever happened, she's okay, fine. I respect that. I'm not pushing that. I'm trying to help her. But what I get in her variable is I haven't heard from her since Sunday. Sunday, she said, I'm very scared. I'm very, I've given on to my fear. So basically, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm just going to sleep or stay in the apartment, whatever she's going to do. And I looked this morning. Now it's 7 hours, 8 hours ahead in Russia. So when I wake up at 8 o'clock, it's 4 p.m. I should have gotten a text from her yet, and I didn't. And so those are the variables. With women, you're looking for. With Jenna, I would get a text virtually every day. Once in a while, I'd miss a day, and she'd say, "Oh, I was here and there. I was out with the girls. I was at the cemetery. I can't do it." I said, "That's fine." But she was always, we both were very consistent, at least saying hi, good morning, have a nice day. and you'd get that. So when she didn't, that would be the variable. With Daria, you don't know what the variables are. It's like, why isn't she? She's not even reading the text, right? Because on WhatsApp, they turn blue and they're still green. And you're like, why isn't she? What if it's something important? I'm trying to text her. She's not even reading it. So she's so scared of the operation. I said, oh, I wish I was there to help you. I would help you, but I'm here. I can't even fly there. So, I feel bad because she's this scared to go get an operation, but I can't imagine if she's got a little tooth here. I would assume they just drill a little hole, or slice a hole and suck it out, and that's it. I don't imagine, and then they'll probably be able to fix the skin. So I don't imagine she's scared of the process of the operation, like when she got the tooth put in, the what do you call it, the implant. So she was scared to go to get that. Now I'm sure they numbed her and she had it, and that was it. So I don't think it's a painful. They're not going to break her face, but that's the variable. The variable is she's afraid of the pain, I assume, and going to the doctor. She probably doesn't like that either. So that's the thing. And then the variable is now I haven't heard from her in 3 days. Now, before I didn't know what to think of it. Now I at least know what to think of it. It's not anything, it's just her culture. But that's, again, the different when I don't hear from her, it's usually something like this. She gets to the point she doesn't want to talk to anybody. So that's everybody has variables. And that's what you do. So when we're betting football, we're looking, are they a good home team? Are they a good dog? Are they a good favorite? Are they good on the road? Or are they bad? That's why I chart good and bad. So you bet against certain teams in situations, you bet on them in situations. But as it's harder as Kansas City laid down against Denver because they clinched and everybody sat out. Well, how do I, put that in my numbers? It doesn't really correlate. The variable has changed a little bit. And then we know as Mahomes is an underdog, we always bet him. Fortunately, Philly was the dog in the Super Bowl, so we bet Philly. So that's the variables. Philly's showing you do need a running back and you do need a defense. It's not just the quarterback. And everybody runs to get the quarterback. And they still look at New England. Drake May's terrible, but he runs good. Well, but he's the quarterback. He's not the running back. He should be throwing the ball, which he can't do. He's a bad quarterback, maybe a good runner, but again, he's running when the defenses are run by idiots who aren't blitzing. A guy like that, you blitz because he can't throw and he's looking to run. And as you fade back into your zone, he wants to run. So you blitz him. You don't let him run. You blitz him like you do with Lamar. And anyway, so the variables change. So every scenario, you're at work, you got to understand the variables of the job. What does the boss want you to do? What are the different computers? What is the time frames? What's the environment? So there's variables with everything. So sports betting and baseball, you're looking at the pitcher, and that's it. If you can't hit the pitcher, it doesn't matter what kind of offense or defense you have. So that's your big variable in baseball. And then in basketball, again, you have strange variables where they play back to back. How do they play in the second game? They play 3 games in 4 nights. The star sits down now for this resting. He needs to rest because it's such a long 82 games season. It starts in October and ends in March. It's 6 months. They don't play 82 games in 82 days. So the fact these guys need to take a day off is a joke. And that's why you can't bet them because they're not serious about their craft. A guy who loves basketball doesn't want to sit, right? I played baseball. I played golf. I wanted to play every time. Oh, there's a game tonight? Great. Or let's go golfing. And you wouldn't I gotta rest. I never did that in my life. So that's the key is what's the variable makes you how to win. So you're looking for a balanced offense and a good defense, like a Philly, like um, Kansas City's like that. They got a pretty balanced team. Denver's got that. San Diego. Now you got a new coach, and he choked pretty badly. Houston looks like they have a good defense. So you got to learn the teams. You got to learn the stocks. In stocks, you got to learn the companies. Um, in keeping money in annuities or in the bank, you got to learn the inflation. What's going on with inflation? In poker, you got to learn the players. Are they a bluffer or are they not a bluffer? So there's always that learning of the variables and the intangibles. That's how you're successful at any of those. And then once you figure it out, I'm playing poker. I know that's a bluff. Then you call them and you win. And that's the idea, is you figured out the player and now you start making some money. That's how you win. You know when you can call them and when you shouldn't. Same thing with stocks. If it's a high PE, Tesla at 700, I don't want anything to do with that. I want a 25, 30, 35 PE. Anything higher than that, I'm running away. It'll never do it. Bitcoin, it's just a game. You have no idea what the variables are. The variables are what caused Bitcoin to go up, what caused it to go down. Why was it down to 82,000? Because Larry Fink shorted it. Why is it now 89,000? Larry Fink bet it to go up. He's doing it with derivatives like gold and silver. Gold and silver, what are the variables? We got to realize it's not the market. We realize it's the derivatives. So we know there's a game being played there, but we understand it's way undervalued. So we buy it, waiting for the variables of the derivatives to get blown up because everybody's asking for physical. And we see BRICS variables come in. And the BRICS countries are all buying gold and silver. That variable changed the whole thing of us. Now it's not going to be price fixed. It's going to go to the moon. So you're always looking for that. Like I said, with Daria and Jenna, with the girls, what are their variables? What do they normally do and what don't they normally do? When I don't hear from Daria for a few days, it's because she's sick or she's scared or she doesn't want to talk. So apparently this happens to her. And you only know that by the more you talk to the girls. So your girlfriends or your wives, you should know their variables. What pisses them off? What makes them happy? Getting them a gift makes them happy. Getting them flowers. Oh, well, I'm going to do that because I want her to be happy. It makes it for a better life and a better house and everything else. And then you learn what pisses them off. What's the variable that upsets them? And you stay away from that variable. Rogers wants to play on the West Coast. He lives in Malibu. Well, he's from California. In that case, yeah, I could see him wanting to play for Oakland. I'm sure he probably doesn't want to play in California because of the taxes. I'm surprised he didn't move to Vegas or Arizona where there's no state taxes, because there's very high taxes in California. So that's what you're looking for with people, is what are their variables? What can I say or not say? What do I try? I try to make them happy or not. That's I'm trying to make Daria happy, but when she does this on me, I don't know what to do for her. I can't help her because she's not talking to me, not because I did anything. She's not talking to me because she's scared of this operation, which who knows when it'll be. So she's all stressed. Her blood pressure's got to be high. Who knows if she's eating or drinking. So this is the problem. But she's shutting me out, which she shouldn't be. She should use me to help her, but she in turn says, I'm drawn inward. I don't want to talk to anybody. So I don't know how long this is going to go on, but she knows it's my birthday Friday. I'm sure I'll hear from her Friday. And that'll be good. But anyways, so that's basically how you bet sports. You're looking for teams with certain value. Baseball to be pitching, a little bit with batting average against weak pitchers. So there's strong pitchers we bet on, weak pitchers we bet against, or weak pitcher against weak pitcher, we bet the over. Ace against ace, we bet the under. So it's things like that. Basketball, I don't know any of the people anymore. I can bet the NBA playoffs because I know what the variable are. If you're down 2-0, you need to win. If you're down 3-1, you need to win. So that's the variable is you're going to lose the playoff series, so you must win it. Otherwise, you don't know if the player's sitting out or not with this rest management. It's very hard to play day to day unless now you're getting near the nitty gritty. Well, we're out of the playoffs with 10 games to go. We need to win. Well, then I would assume the guy's not going to sit out. Like LeBron, is he sitting out? Well, not if they need, there's 10 games going. They need to win 6 of them. He's not going to be sitting out. So you catch that. So again, the variable in basketball is the Steph Curry and the LeBron and then teams that suck like the Pistons who don't have any players. So you then look at that. But that's what you're looking for are variables. You address what the variables are, and that's how you bet it. So there's going to be variables that help you win and variables that help you lose. You want to understand that. Oh, the team's no good as a road dog. Oh, okay. So they're a road dog. Okay, I'm going to bet against them. That's how I get profitable every year. I figure it out, and then I look for the matchup. And the difference with me is I might go 10-0, and I did that 4 times this year in pros. But I had the right matchups, right? And then there's weeks when you look at the games and you can't decide the variables. And I'll say that this week's pocket aces, I see 5 strong plays. I'm going to lock 3 or 4 of them. They all win. And because when I look at the game, the variables line up. And when there's other weeks, when I look at the games, I have no idea what the variables are or how to line it up. So I don't, and I end up having a weaker. I don't go 10-0. I might go 7-3 those weeks because the variables didn't tell me who was going to win the game. Most of the weeks when I do good, I know who's going to win the game. And you get some of the weeks, it's just bad team playing bad team, and you don't know how they're going to play. I think that's the hardest. I know what Kansas City is going to do in Philadelphia, and then I know what Chicago and Green Bay are going to do. So that you're just hoping they play the right team and off they go. It's when they, play teams that you don't know what the variables are, like San Diego, you think they're an under team, and Denver, you think they're an under team, but first-year coaches. So next year we'll have better variables on San Diego and Denver because San Diego, now they're in Harbaugh's second year, and he's got Herbert, and he's got running. He had a good defense, but is Bosa staying? Is Khalil Mack staying? So I have to see. And then Denver, now it's Bo Nick's second year, so he should have improved greatly. Sean Payton's there, and they got a pretty good defense. So you see that. These teams seem to have trouble with Baltimore and Buffalo for some reason. I think they get scared when they play. So Baltimore is playing Denver. They get scared, and then they win by 30 points. And like, where's this? You lost to fucking Cleveland. How can you beat Denver? Because they get scared. They know they can lose, and then they get fired up against Cleveland. They don't get fired up. So that's what you're looking for in investing. The variable with money is inflation. There's a variable with everything. And that's what I try to talk you through. So when I talk to the Titanic, the variable is you hit the fucking iceberg and put a hole in your boat. And then, so with that variable gives you a very easy conclusion, the boat's going to sink, which then leads you to you want to get into a lifeboat. That's what it is. And so you're always looking for the variable that sinks the ship, and then you're looking for the lifeboat. Depending on what it could be, as I'm looking at Joe Montana, you could look at the 49ers or the Cowboys suck this year and certain teams. So you're looking at what happened. Maybe it's an injury, maybe it's bad coaching. Teams like the Lions have a new offensive and defensive coordinator. They got banged up. So the variable is how will their defense play this year? And I'm not sure you get healthy from some of these injuries. I think you're just hurt. And you play hurt, so you're not as good, you're not as effective. I would think I would get rid of most of my injured players and bring in new guys. And I wouldn't draft injured players. I would just move on. But at the end of the day, they're all going to get injured. It's how severe is the injury. But that affects the variables. So how are the Lions going to play? How's Green Bay going to do? They had injuries. What's Minnesota going to look like with or without Darnell? If McCarthy plays, he's terrible. How good are they going to be? I think that's terrible. And Chicago has a new coach. That's a new variable that goes into the equation. How are we going to bet Chicago? And that's why you got to give it 7-8 weeks to see how this guy is. He's a decent offensive coordinator, but it's overblown because of you had the skill at the Lions, good line, adequate quarterback, good running, and good receivers. So a monkey could be their offensive coordinator and score 30 points a game. That's not hard. It's scoring 30 points a game at Dallas with Dak Prescott and that shit. If you can score 30 with him, then you're a real good offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore goes to New Orleans. Well, now you got a whole new variable. There's way too many coaching changes. You need stability because you need to know exactly what you're going to get. If I play a guy in poker, and I know there's a story I told you about the attorney, and he always bluffs or he always slow plays. So I got two pair, and he's got a couple of hearts, and he checks, I check. He catches the flush on the river. I got two pair. He checked, I checked. I knew what he was going to do. I knew he wanted me to bet. I knew he was going to come over the top. And I rubbed it in at the end going, nice way to bet your flush because I know he's a slow player. So I had the variable long enough to know how he played. He was always a check raiser. Okay, so we knew him. And then there's other people in the room and they play differently. And then you're just trying to figure them out. But it's always the variable. And that's really the key to everything in life, right? From the women to the job to the investment you're going to make. What is the variable? What's the variable on Bitcoin? We have no idea because it's not real. You just see a high value and you see, well, it's going to go up, but you don't know why. So you can't entertain the variable on Bitcoin. Not real. Russian mafia in it. It's a money laundering scheme. It's all crooks. Yeah, it looks good. I don't. It's not real, and but supposedly it's limited to 21 million. 21 million what? It's not. It's nothing. So how do you get variable on Bitcoin? So therefore, how do you know when to buy it and when to sell it, and why to buy it? Why buy it over gold? Why buy it over Microsoft? Why buy it over a Montana card, or why buy it over playing poker? You have so much money, you want to gamble it, invest it, whatever you want to call it. It's all gambling, by the way. That's what you're looking for. What's the variable? And it's not easy. This was the variable right here. When this guy's on the field, that's your variable. I'm going to bet on him. I'm going to bet on him. That's the variable. That's who I'm betting on. And that's how you do it. We bet on Lawrence Taylor. We bet on the Steel Curtain. We bet on Jimmy Johnson. He was the variable. With him gone, they haven't, they did make that one Super Bowl with Barry Switzer. But after that, Dallas is gone. The Niners without Bruce Willis, without Bill Walsh, without Montana, goodbye. So the variables come, the variables go. That's what you're catching. The Bulls with Jordan, the Pistons with Isaiah, Magic, Larry Bird. Those are the variables. And with the Lakers, you had Kareem and Magic Johnson. You had two variables, so that was much easier to bet. With two guys like that, they don't have enough guys to stop them. So that's really what you're looking at. You're looking at variables. Right now, I'm like, what the fuck's going on with there? But I know it's not. It's her being scared. She doesn't want to talk to anybody. Okay, it's confusing why she doesn't at least read my my WhatsApp. But I know I'll hear from her Friday because it's my birthday, and she will not want to disappoint me. Because I said, well, my birth, because her birthday was last week, the 25th, and so I said, well, mine's. She says, yeah, I know when yours is. So we'll see. So I'm sure I'll get something from her Friday, but there's nothing I can do. So you've got to learn how you handle the variables. She's scared. She doesn't want to. She just wants to keep to herself. You just leave her alone. You just say, "I love you. I hope you're well. I'm here if you need me." And that's the only thing you can't help the variable. She doesn't want the help. You can't help people who don't want it, and that's what we learn a lot with gold. We can't. The gold price is going to go so high, and the dollar is going to collapse, and we know this 100%. And yet, you try to you can't force people to buy gold and get out of their 401k. It blows my mind. It's like the show. If you ever watched the show, I think Hustle with Robert Vaughn and a couple. There was like 5 people involved, and they said you can't con an honest man. You can only con a dishonest man, and that's what I can't put somebody who won't buy gold and tell them to buy gold. Not that I'm selling it. This has nothing to do with sales or commission or anything. This is just helping. And yet, if they want to stay in stocks and they don't want gold, they don't understand it. There's nothing. You just got to let it go. You can't con an honest man. I can't sell a guy who's in the stocks and who's not in the gold to buy gold. And that's the lesson I've learned. However, I can teach the economics and go after a different area like I do here, like today's. I mean, we've been talking tariffs and Fort Knox, so I thought I'd give it a little more into sports. I know we're really football, but because my background's also economics, I can talk dual, and football's done for a while, so we can talk to that. So we'll look at the draft. There's some quarterbacks that they look at Cam Ward and they look at Primetime Junior, but they're missing the guy from North Texas, Morris. They're missing my guy from Texas State, Jefferson or whatever his name is. And there's a guy, Sawyer at Baylor, who was very good, but I don't know if he's senior. And the guy from Arizona State was fairly good. So you have some good quarterback. The guy at Indiana was like 27-4 touchdowns, interceptions. He's very good. Would he not be a good pro? See, the pros are all screwed up. They don't know what they want. You want a quarterback who's going to go 27-4. They're going, well, he needs to be mobile. I need a mobile quarterback. Not if you can't throw. How many playoff games has Lamar won? Oh, yeah, none. Well, he beat 2 bad teams. But that's the point, that you don't win with the guy because he's mobile. You win with the guy because he's a quarterback. He can read the defense, and he can go 27 touchdowns and 5 picks and do it under pressure. Lamar had a pretty good regular season, but then against Buffalo, he fumbles and he throws 3 picks and they lose again. Again, in the clutch, he doesn't show up. That's Lamar's problem. That's Baltimore's problem. So how many times they want to keep losing with Lamar, I don't know. But he's played like 8-9 years now and nothing to show for it. Mahomes, boom. Brady or Burrow, is going to get a couple of Super Bowls if they get the defense. If they get the team, you can't beat Burrow. He's too good. But right now it's him and Chase and T. Higgins. No running back. I'd love to see them get Scatterboo or something, and then they need another defensive lineman or 2 and some linebackers and some secondary. Maybe their secondary is okay, but they're not. They need defensive line, which is what every team needs. You got to get pressure. You got to stop the run game. And, that's the problem. They did play Philadelphia and got killed. They lost like 37-17. So he had a pretty good day, but they gave up 37 points. So Philly did that a lot, running Barkley, and that's the key. So maybe I need Scatterboo. Maybe I need the kid Gentry from Boise. Maybe I need the kid from Iowa. Hey, uh, maybe that's the key, which has always been Franco Harris and Walter Payton and Roger Craig, and we go down the list. Paul Hornung, started it, and then it was Franco and that. You got to have balance. Look what happened to the Steelers. They're trying to three-peat. Franco Harris gets hurt in the Buffalo game, and he can't play, and they get killed because then it was Bradshaw, and then he was exposed with his 5 turnovers, which shows you he's not a good quarterback, and that was the point. Anyway, so you're always looking for variables. That's the key. And you're looking, are they real or not? So is it a scam? Is the girl real? The variable, what's Daria doing? Why isn't she talking to me? So you try to justify the variables. Are they real or not? And that's really what you're going after. Now, I know Daria to know enough that they are real, and she's just scared because when we got her the dental implants, she was scared to go to the dentist. It wasn't surgery; it was just getting teeth implanted. But she was scared to go, so she's petrified over this one. Probably because they gotta, probably put a little hole in her face and suck it out. It's probably a nothing operation, but she's afraid of the word, I think, and going to the medical and whatever. Probably getting put under, so she's just probably scared of all that. But that's what you're looking for is consistency. So you have a girlfriend. Is she real or not? Is she scamming me? Does she just want my money? So you have a lot of that. I find I'm generous and I want to help people. So, oh yeah, you need, here's 100 for food. Then it's like feeding a dog. Then they keep coming back for more food. And that's my own fault. But I don't really mind it, and I only give what I can easily afford. I don't give like a new car or a house or something like that. Although Daria said, "Oh, it'd be nice if I had a car," and I said, "Well, when we get together, I have a camera, you can use that, but I'm not buying you a car. You get it, especially now." Um, so I don't know if that's where she was hinting to or not. I think she just said it would be nice to have a car. I don't think she was like, "Oh, I need you to buy me a car, or I'm not going to talk to you," and that's it. So I said, "Oh, you'll have mine once we're together." So we'll see. Anyway, that's today's lesson is how to look for the variable and understand it. And you got to look at, how do I bet the team? When do I bet on Chicago? When do I bet against them? How do I play poker? When do I bluff? When do I bet all in? When do I bet a little bit because I want to call because I've got the nuts and I just want the guy to call me? I want to make $50. If I go all in, he'll fold. Well, I don't want him to fold. So what variable do I give him that he calls me? And that depends on the other player. So we know that's part of the variable are the other players. So I've laid out the variables and whatever you're going to gamble on: poker, football, casino games, stocks, annuities. The hardest variable is gold with the COMEX and the inflation. Those are the two hardest variables to figure out. What is inflation and what is it at? And it's not prices going up. So first we had to identify the misidentification of inflation is prices going up. And we had to say, no, it's money being printed and the money loses its value. You're inflating the money supply and the prices aren't good indicators that how much the inflation is. Oh, it's 2 or 3%. Bullshit. 2 or 300%. There's no, and why would it be year over year? That's not right. It should be from 1971. That's when the inflation started. Coke at 10 cents and it's now $3, or better yet, McDonald's was 50 cents, is now what, $6 for a Big Mac. That's your inflation. You go back to when you got off the gold standard to now, not, well, last year McDonald's was 5.50, so this year it's 5.50. We don't have inflation. No, you do, because you started to print the money back in 71. And that's how you, so they don't even know how to measure it, but it's not even that. Prices are going up because the money's losing value, but it's the money itself is the key to the inflation. And then in gold, you have COMEX as the variable. That is bullshit. It's not real. It's price fixing. But then we have BRICS as the other variable, breaking up COMEX. So we've got all the variables. We know what inflation is. We know COMEX is price fixed, and we know here comes BRICS, Russia and China buying a shitload of gold because they get it. So when you put it all together, you go, yeah, this is a strong buy, and this is a very undervalued gold and silver price. $32 in silver. Are you kidding? That's a big fucking joke. So, but we know it because of our variables, because of BRICS, because of inflation. Those are keys to buying gold and silver. And then when you realize COMEX is fake and it's price fixed, the question is, can it stay? And you realize it can't, because there's too much demand of physical gold from everybody. Nobody trusts the inflation. Nobody trusts the dollar's real. So nobody wants the dollars. They all want to buy the physical. And that will end COMEX. And then we're going to get a real price. And that's what we're waiting for. So we're on the lifeboat when the Titanic hits the iceberg. We're not on it when it's 99% in the water, right? We're in it right away. And if we're in it right away, yeah, we're waiting. And that's what we're doing now. We're waiting, but we know the boat's sinking. Check my email. Okay. I will do that, Prophet, after this. So I'm going to have a little lunch and then go to the pool. Today's Wednesday. Yeah, I got to get there. They have swim classes Monday and Wednesday, and they use my lane, so I got to get there a little earlier. Friday's my birthday. I will be. I'll probably come on early and then go get barbecue for lunch and then go play poker, and then I'll probably swim at night. They're open until 9:30. And that'll be my plan for that. And I'll play my 300, which is what I would use for silver. And whatever I end up with is how much silver I'm going to buy. So if I can make $500, I will then buy $800 worth of silver. So my incentive's there. And it's all about the cards. If you're giving me aces and kings, I can win. If you're giving me twos and threes and fours, I'm fucked. Unless you give me a pair of twos and then I catch a two on the flop, I'm pretty much fucked with those hands. So I'll know after 45 minutes what I'm getting, and there's really nothing I can do, and I'll lose a little bit, and then hope for the one hand where I actually catch aces or tens or jacks and something, or get 8, 9 and catch 6, 7, 10, like in rounders. So I will, that's when it's easy, when you catch those hands. Right, ace, king of hearts, 3 hearts flop. Yeah, I think I'm going to win this hand. That's the beauty of it. So I will check my email. Any other questions or comments about this? Let's check our gold price. Gold right now is $29.15. Silver $32.61. It's running 2 minutes behind. Okay. So 29.15. So we're good with gold at it's above it got out of the 2800s back to the 29. I don't see it really going back to 2800. It tried at 8 in the morning. Looks like it was 28. I think it was 2900. And then it immediately jumped up. The 10 o'clock drop happened at noon. But right now, 29.15. And that we have Trump's tariffs, which again, bad for the economy, good for gold and silver. But this is based on everybody realizing that this is basically the variable is the inflation, which makes the dollar worthless. So everybody has to get out of the dollar, and your only lifeboat's gold and silver. And that's why the demand, and it's not going away because the inflation, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Once you print $150 trillion, and for the petrodollar and all these FXs, you can't put it back in, and nobody wants the FX. Well, if I'm Switzerland, why do I have to buy the dollar to buy pounds? And they're tired of it, and they're just going to buy the pounds, and that's what's going to happen. And the U.S. is flexing its muscles. Will kill you if you don't. I mean, this stupidity, right? It's embarrassing to be an American. Um, so we will see. But at the end of the day, all these, especially China, Russia, are buying gold as fast as they can. Silver at 32.59. So I don't agree with $33 silver. Pat, $33 silver is the line in the sand. It's not. We saw 33 last week and immediately went back down to 30. But now it keeps getting pumped up, and they owe probably 30 trillion, 30. They probably own 30,000 tons to the derivatives that they have to cover, and then that should break the price, and then we'll get go to 100, 200, and then $1,000 silver, because that's really what it's worth. We know this price is bullshit, but that's again the variable that we understand. The price is bullshit. All right, so good news, 29.17 for gold. Let's get it to 3,000. Is 3,000 the line in the sand, as Pat's saying? In other words, when it hits 3, the derivatives start breaking down, and then we see 3,500. We will see 5,000 on its way to 10,000, but at this point, as it's kept going up, and this is where I really have a problem. Not working, I'm not getting a paycheck. Well, I get Social Security, I'll get on Monday. But when you get it, you're making, let's say you have 50 ounces, you made 5,000 every time it goes from 2,800 to 29. I made 5,000. But you don't count it. You don't recognize it. It's an asset that you made money on. It's sort of like the Brady card. This is worth at least 48,000 because I saw it as a PSA 8, and this is probably a 10. You never know, but it should be because it's a refractor, right? So let's say I have a $75,000 card here, but I don't recognize that I have 75,000. I recognize the card. If this is a 10, I got 100,000 and 70. I got $175,000, let's say. If they're both 10s, and they both should be, but they're not. But once they're graded, and so, but I don't recognize that I have $175,000 sitting here. Until I recognize it, I don't. But once they're 10s, and I know I have it, that's really the hard part. Is so when your gold goes up 100 and you got, let's say, 100 ounces, you make 10 grand every time. From 2,500 to 26 grand, made 10,000. 27 grand, made another. Now you're up 20. 28, now you're up 30. 29, now you're up 40. But do you recognize that you have an extra 40 grand there? For me, you don't, because you only recognize what you have, right? I recognize them in my safe. I recognize how many ounces of gold and silver I have. I put a spreadsheet that says this is how much it's worth, but I don't really recognize it. Because gold and silver, like especially silver is what, 32.59. So I'm really not recognizing silver at 22.59. Let's check our stocks at 20. I don't recognize 700 ounces of silver at 30, let's say $35. I don't recognize it because I'm not going to sell my silver at this low price. At 100, then I'll say, oh, okay, now it's 100 times 700. Now I got $70,000. I won't recognize it, but I know I got a hell of a lot more worth of silver than I did. And that's why it's hard to sell it now, because it's worth more. And that's why it's hard to sell the gold and recognize it, because I know it's worth more. So right now, $3,000 gold, but I'm looking at $10,000 gold times the 100 ounces, and then you're really that would be 10,000 times 100 is add one zero is 100,000, add another zero is 1,000,000. So you're just adding two zeros to the 10,000 to the thousand or where am I at? Yeah, you got 100 ounces um, at 10,000. So yeah, it's two more zeros. So you'd be a millionaire at 10,000 if you had 100 ounces of gold. Would you recognize that? You would know it. Now maybe you sell an ounce for 10 grand because you want to party or travel and enjoy. That certainly could, but you're not really. We're conditioned badly. In other words, what's my bank balance? Oh, I got 100,000 in the bank. That you know, but 100,000 in gold, you really don't pay attention to it because it's in gold and you're not connecting the dots. So I'm in great shape, but I don't recognize it. I go, shit, I need a job. I probably don't need a job, but I'm in great shape with that. So again, I know gold and silver are going to go higher, and it's very, very close to breaking. And once that happens, then, as they say, Katie, bar the door. I don't know what it means, but it sounds good. And that's what we're waiting for. And then we start recognizing. So let's see. What's the market at now? What is the current situation of the stock market? Here we go. I don't know what Nifty is. Why did the stock market fall so much today? Is there open on Friday after Thanksgiving? What? Why do I see 19 hours ago? Can't I just get a fucking um, can I just get this is what the stock is? 21 hours, 22 one day ago. Here it is. I don't know. I think this is current. 43,840 was 42 up 600. That doesn't make any. It wasn't 43.2. Yeah. Okay. Now I look at it, and the stock market's at 42,753. Why am I getting June 7th, 2024? Why can't I just fucking get today's market? I think this is it. 42,753 up 232 today. The Nasdaq 18,000 up 78. Now you would ask, why is it up? What is the variable? These markets shouldn't be up. At what point do you think the Dow should be up? The economy sucks. The inflation's huge. What's driving this to go up? Nothing. It's all bullshit. So anyway, 42,753. It'll be in the 30s soon. And I think that's about it. Any other questions, comments? I think that's about it. And we got chases. Well, your second question, I would not send it. I would only send it to the shipping company. I would not send it to if you got to send it to the attorney. Why? He's not shipping the goods, so why would I Why would I send him the money? So he can ship it? He can ship it to you and it'd be COD. Tell him to do that, or I'll pay when it comes or whatever. But I wouldn't paying the attorney is very, now that's another, as we're talking, it's another variable. Do you know the attorney? No. Do you trust the attorney? No. You can't trust him. You don't know him. So that would be a very, again, what do you get out of it? Now he might put a carrot and say, oh, you get a bar or you get 5 bars. I noticed how they did that, where they said they were 1 kilo, which was 32 or 35 ounces, to now it's bigger bars. Well, why would they lie about that? Surely they knew what size the bars were. So no, I wouldn't, I would say no way. Not going to do it. Maybe you talk to the girlfriend and ask her thoughts on it. But again, you got to know more. You got to know, what are you doing with them, and then if they're just going to ship them to her, why don't you just ship them to her and let her pay the for? But I don't know. Again, you need more information. Would be my point. But let's see what happens, and then get those answers and see what's in it for you, and then off you go. But I don't know. The gal seems to be very intelligent, so I wouldn't think this is, a scam. But we don't have enough information to indicate the variable is correct or not, and that's what you're really looking at. So anyway, I will bid you a fond farewell. www.teaserking.com. Be careful. Know all your variables in women, in sports, and Bitcoin, and everything. Stocks, uh, playing poker. You got to know what the variables are that will help you figure out what to do, because you're gambling. And if you don't know, you shouldn't gamble. Yeah, I know people do it for the excitement. That's why they play slot machines. There's absolutely no variable there. You're going to pull the wheel and you win or lose. It's a stupid game. At least blackjack, you're making decisions, and craps and poker. Uh, that's why they're harder games, and that's why you should learn them and then play those. You have a much better chance of winning. My odds on winning playing Poker Friday are probably 90%, depending on my cards. It's not 50-50. It's me, my skill, reading the other players and knowing what to do with the cards and when to protect and when not to. And then hope you don't get fucked over with having aces and the guy flops trip sevens, set of sevens. Well, there's nothing you can do. You played the hand right. It's just you got screwed. You're smart enough, if he check raises you, to fold. So you got to have no ego when you do that. You got aces, you bet. He checks, you bet again on the flop, and then he check raises you. And oh, you can't fold aces, and why not? And so he check raises you, you fold every time. Your ego is, okay, I lost. It's okay to lose with that hand. It's okay to throw my hand over and not worry about should I or shouldn't I have. You got to get over that. You just got to go, this is what I'm going to do. If you check raise, I'm going to fold. And that's it. And, and well, you're watching the guy the whole time. Does he check raise any other hand? No. And if he did, he had a full house. Yeah, okay. Pretty easy. But normally that's a check raise is not a bluffing hand. As I said, I bet the aces pre-flop. I still have the aces. So I'm betting again. The odds on him bluffing me are 0 because he knows I've got a good hand. And most people with aces aren't going to fold. So you're not going to do that into a big hand, understanding that most people aren't going to fold. So why would you bluff it? And that's my whole theory on why I fold it, because there's no way he's check raising me unless he hit a set on the flop, because he's probably playing me with a pair. I got aces. He's got nines and 9 flops. He's got a set of nines. Now he wants to make money, because that's the human condition, is greed. Greed is good, but greed's fine if you do it right. You don't hurt other people. All right. So anyway, have a good day. www.teaserking.com. I hope to hear from Daria sometime, but it's very kind of frustrating for me. Um, just because, like with Jenna, you just want to hear from her every day. That's it. Hi, how you doing? I'm fine. Great. Just check in and say, but that's me. I'm older. Maybe that's what I'm used to. But Jenna had no problem with it. Daria, she's been better, except for in this type of situation, which I can try to help her with once we're together. But at this point, I can leave all the things, but if she's not reading it, there's nothing I can do. All right. So have a good day, everybody. I hope you learned something. Questions, comments, you can email me or come back tomorrow. But I hope you learn. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.